I don't want everybody to vote. Elections are not won by a majority of people. They never have been from the beginning of our country, and they are not now.
Welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Shout out to all of our new subscribers and members here on the channel.
Now, many of our Christians have what I call the goo-goo syndrome. Good government. They want everybody to vote. I don't want everybody to vote. Elections are not won by a majority of people. They never have been from the beginning of our country, and they are not now. As a matter of fact, our leverage in the elections, quite candidly, goes up as the voting populace goes down.
That was Paul Weyrich, conservative political activist and co-founder of the Heritage Foundation. Yes, that Heritage Foundation saying the thing that is often whispered and contemplated way out loud. And we saw it in full effect. It started before the election and fairly innocently enough, with ballot boxes being removed, the stealing of Harris wall signs.
Hi, my mom called me saying that you guys were looking for me.
Yeah, so we had some items taken from our neighborhood, and one of the items had an Apple tracker in it, and it tracks to the trunk of your vehicle.
Yeah.
Did you open the trunk of your vehicle and show us that it's not there?
I mean, yeah, I don't know why it would be tracking that.
Well, I don't know why either, but it does. I can show you that it does if you'd like me to.
Yeah. So you guys HOA of the neighborhood?
No, we don't live here. We live in Springfield.
Okay. No, I was saying of that neighborhood that you guys are part of.
Well, we're active in the neighborhood. I don't know what you mean.
It's in here.
Okay.
So,
yeah, and I mean, like, are you just looking to have it back? Because I rented my buddy's car.
okay.
So it's
What is your name?
Jackson.
Jackson Peterson?
So it's saying
Or
no.
Jackson what?
Jester.
Okay,
Chester.
so
Yeah.
get a video of this. Get a video of this. This is where they all are.
I'm sorry, this is funny. Why don't you just take them all? Here you go, liberals.
Well,
Here
but
you
just
go.
but it's more than that,
No,
actually.
it's not. It's so stupid. Just go vote.
It's a felony, ma'am.
It's not.
Yes, it is.
It actually is.
Ma'am, please don't throw these at me.
Stop that.
I'm so tired of this.
Come look at all these that are in here.
Ma'am, I'm
These are the
videoing.
guys who've been doing it.
Get rid of them.
Yeah, no, it's...
And what was your name?
Yeah, I'm not part of this.
No, that's...
But you live here. You live here.
I live here, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
Just go inside. Just go inside. It's fine.
Okay. There you are.
So yeah, I mean, if you want them back,
Put
they're right here.
the rest of those, please.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm confused. I wasn't part of this, but what makes it a felony?
Because the total sum of these, they're $20 each.
They're $3 a piece on Etsy, and the total adds up to $189.
No, the Democratic headquarters pays $20 each for these.
So
And
it's $189.
Because I added it up.
So
So you know how many are here?
Approximately 60, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, 6 times 3.
Okay, it's a $2,500 offense in Missouri and up to a year of jail time. Look it up.
If it exceeds $200.
Oh, you know the law for
do,
what you
yeah.
steal. Okay.
No,
Okay.
I mean...
Then it gets a little bit more nefarious with notes being dropped off to people in Texas.
Police in San Marcos say some residents in town are reporting seeing a flyer attached to signs in their yard saying that if Donald Trump gets elected, they're going to be audited by the IRS. The letter, which we're going to put up on your screen, now claims that it's being given to someone who is identified as a, quote, miscreant Harris supporter, and claims that if Trump assumes the presidency, the recipient will be audited all the way back to their first tax return. The San Marcos police chief says this isn't the first time this has happened.
This has happened before, not this specific type of threat, but it has happened before. And we obviously clicked all of it, and then we presented to the district attorney for the most applicable charges if suspects can be identified.
And right now, San Marcos police say they've gotten 5 reports of the flyers. If you or someone you know sees one, you should call the department's non-emergency line.
And it wasn't enough to just remove a ballot box here or there. Pretty soon, ballot boxes ended up on fire, ones with ballots inside.
Tonight, we're seeing brand new video of the ballot box fire in Vancouver that Alejandro just mentioned. Take a look. You can see a dark colored car pull up to the ballot box early in the morning on October 28th. 30 seconds later, the driver pulls away and then smoke starts pouring from the box. That's when an explosion happens and sparks fly everywhere. Officials say the fire suppression system inside that box did not work and hundreds of ballots were destroyed. Authorities believe the fire was connected to the fire at a ballot box in Portland earlier that morning.
You had people showing up to the polls threatening folks with weapons.
A Neptune Beach teenager today accused of pulling out a machete at an early voting site expected in court for a first appearance.
Police say Caleb Williams went to the Beach's branch library yesterday afternoon to intimidate voters. News4Jax reporter Aaron Farrar is joining us now live from Neptune Beach. Aaron, that early voting site just opened a few minutes ago.
And we've already seen people already starting to walk down this path to head to inside the Beach's Branch Library. People are continuing to make their way in now. Some of the cars are pulling into this parking lot. This is the same parking lot where police say all of this happened yesterday. Police say there were 8 different teenagers, all between 16 to 18 years old. The chief says that they were here to cause a ruckus and antagonize an opposing political party. Here's that picture again of Caleb Williams holding the machete in the air, police say. It was taken by one of 2 women who told police they were worried about getting hurt. The Duval County Democratic Party says the women were peacefully holding Harris Walls signs when Williams confronted them with the machete over his head. When police arrived, they found the teens and say that Williams was standing next to a truck and that the machete was in the bed of that truck in plain view. Williams was arrested. The other teens were not. Williams is in the Duval County Jail right now facing 2 charges, including aggravated assault and improper exhibition of a dangerous weapon. Records show that he registered as a Republican in March of last year. Chief Key says he is committed to making sure that this site remains safe for anyone simply trying to cast a ballot without fear or intimidation of doing so.
And you know, it was just a matter of time before those threats and intimidation became actual assaults.
An incident report says 63-year-old Jesse Lutzenberger punched him. The report says Lutzenberger wore a red MAGA hat inside. Sheriff Javier Salazar says poll workers asked him to take it off twice.
Wearing clothing supporting a political candidate, which that's electioneering, and it's certainly something that you're not supposed to do.
Lutzenberger is charged with assault, a felony.
Is there a different charge for assaulting an election worker?
Well, that's what we're looking at now.
Callanan says the election clerk is back at the polls. Security is also beefed up there.
That's very scary, because it makes you stop and think, wow, am I going to be safe?
Hernandez says political disagreements shouldn't get physical.
Let the best man win. There's no reason for violence. None.
Another one.
Oh, wow. This is my motherfucking right. Wow. Why is it defending me? It's like defending me. All right, then shut the hell up and let me vote. Okay, we ain't got nothing else to say. Wow.
Next thing
there it is right there.
Wow. Update to this: Orangeburg, South Carolina Yakeda seen throwing a tantrum over his Let's Go Brandon hat and allegedly assaulting a poll worker before she defends herself. Orangeburg Department of Public Safety shows up and do what cops do and treat the white man named Mark Allen Morris like the victim. That's right. They charged the poll worker with third-degree assault and battery. In the report, Mark Allen Morris states that he was given a hard time when he entered the voting area just because he was wearing a Let's Go Brandon hat. Even if police claim they didn't have enough evidence to charge Mark with assault, he not only unlawfully displayed campaign material within 500 feet of a polling location, but also engaged in conduct which disrupted the administration of the polling place. The report also says that they got witness statements and interviews on body cam, which is interesting because South Carolina is one of the states where body cam footage is exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. This means that the public public will never get to hear what actually happened to these black women, and the only side of the story that gets pushed out there is Mark Allen Morris's. I wish I could say I'm shocked that Orangeburg law enforcement protects this kind of man, yet villainizes black women, but this isn't the first run-in with the law that you've had, is it, Mark Allen Morris? In 1992, Mark was charged with, you guessed it, assault and battery with the intent to kill, but Calhoun County decided not to indict him. In 1994, Mark pled guilty to his second DUI in Bamberg County. In 1998, Mark was found guilty in Orangeburg County for trespassing on someone's property to go hunting, since we've already established the rules don't apply to him. And in 2006, Mark Allen Morris was charged with domestic violence of a high and aggravated nature, a felony in South Carolina, but they couldn't convict him because the victim wouldn't testify. Not that it matters, but guess how many charges I found for the actual victim in all of this? The poll worker. None. So y'all tell me, who's more likely to perpetuate violence here? So this is my question for the Orangeburg Department of Public Safety. What, and I say this with the utmost disrespect, the fuck?
And nobody was immune. Clearly not women, not even the elderly.
A violent encounter at Pensacola Beach on Friday left one woman injured. A group of people were waving political signs at the corner of Via de Luna and Fort Pickens Road. The trouble started when a woman says a passerby began yelling at the group. Now, witnesses say an unidentified attacker, a woman, stole a sign from a Harris supporter, then hit her in the eye with the sign.
And WEAR's Haley Samples joins us in the studio. And Haley, that canvasser wants justice.
That's right. She tells me what started off as a peaceful experience has left her frightened.
It left me scared. It really did, Haley. It left me scared.
68-year-old Holly Shelton Snowden was waving campaign signs on Sunday in support of the Harris-Walz presidential campaign. She says about an hour after she arrived, a passerby began shouting at a member of the group, and the interaction was caught on camera. Snowden says she tried to end the conflict by stepping in. From here, Snowden says the woman in the video stole her sign and ran off. In an attempt to get her sign back from the woman, Snowden was struck in the eye. An attack she says completely caught her off guard.
I didn't have time to think anything. I tried not to fall down. When she struck me, I was really hurt. I mean, it frightened me.
As a result, Snowden is left with a bruised eye and a broken pair of glasses. Now, Snowden is determined to find the woman that hit her.
I need it for myself. They don't let us say closure as therapists anymore, but I need closure. And I need to know that my eye is all right.
The attacker fled the scene before police arrived. A volunteer with the Harris-Walz campaign says there's no place for violence within our democracy. But she says politics aside, it shouldn't have happened.
I pray that this is just one of those accidents that happen, that it is not an example of what is to come between now and tomorrow.
Snowden filed a police report at the scene with an Escambia County deputy.
I'm over 65, and what she did was assaulting an elder, and it's a felony in Pensacola, in Florida. So I've been told by the police.
Now, Snowden says this was her first canvassing event and will probably be her last. As of now, no arrests have been made, and the Escambia County Sheriff's Office says there is an open investigation.
And of course, if you're going to terrorize the public, that has only one natural conclusion.
Well, tonight the FBI is closely monitoring election threats, including a series of bomb threats that were made across the country on this election day.
Investigative reporter Bennett Haberly has been reporting on election security over the past few days. He's joining us now with what he's learned. Tell us about it, Bennett.
Yeah, Stefan and Allison, video and pictures have been posted to social media showing police presence outside several polling locations. First thing to point out, though, that none of these threats appear to be credible. And that what we do know is that they did cause those disruptions on Election Day, with voting hours extended in some states. In Maricopa County, Arizona, officials there said this is a national and state trend we are seeing with bomb threats, adding that there was no credible information to the issue and it was cleared. But across the country, it was more of the same in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and in Georgia, where voting hours were extended for 10 polling sites that were targeted by the threats. The FBI said Tuesday that it was aware of bomb threats at polling locations in several states, appearing to come from Russian email domains. But Russian state-owned media says the Russian embassy in the U.S. calls the accusations of interference in the U.S. election, quote, malicious slander.
They did all of that.
They want everybody to vote. I don't want everybody to vote. Elections are not won by a majority of people. They never have been from the beginning of our country, and they are not now. As a matter of fact, our leverage in the elections, quite candidly, goes up as the voting populace goes down.
They did all of that, yet there are still those among us, and by us I mean both progressives and black people, that actively made the decision, willingly made the decision, to stay away from the polls. So let me get this straight. This is a right that they are so concerned about you having that they are willing to go to all of these lengths in order to just discourage a few to stay away from the polls. Yet that is a decision that you willingly made, and you think that's a flex.
Would you look your grandma in the face and say, I don't give a fuck about anything you've been through? Or better yet, would you look your kid in the face and say, I don't give a fuck about anything that you will go through? That's essentially what you're doing when you don't vote. I hope y'all realize this does matter. If it didn't matter, there wouldn't be people at the polls trying to intimidate people's grandparents. Here today in Florida, an 18-year-old was arrested for wielding a machete at people at the poll trying to place their votes. This matters. If it didn't matter, the state of Virginia wouldn't be actively right now today, X amount of days away from the election, actively trying to purge their voter rolls. Voting is just being grown. It's part of your responsibilities. Everybody want to be grown until it's time to do grown people shit. It's more to being grown than just playing house. You have to go do your civic duties. This shit matters. This can have effects on generations to come. Today, right now, there are people trying to blow up ballot drop boxes. Why? Because this shit matters. Everything matters. Y'all realize that it's only been about 59 years or so since black people have had the federal right to vote, basically. The Voting Act didn't come out until 1965. So think about that.
I believe Michelle Obama addressed this perfectly.
That's why every single person who has real power in this world, they are fully engaged in the political process. Every CEO and billionaire and corporate board president, they follow the news obsessively. They hire lobbyists to fight for their interest. They donate to the candidates they seek to influence. You all hear me now? This is what I'm telling you. They donate on both sides of the aisle if it's in their interest. And you better believe that they vote in every single election, because they know how critical elections are to maintaining and building their power base. And when we don't vote, they assume that not only do we not care, but that we are happy to hand our power over to them. Happy. And what a lot of non-voters don't understand about real power is that our absence doesn't make those in charge hear us any better. Instead, our absence is taken as our consent. They take our indifference as part of their mandate to do whatever they want.
Now, one thing I also would like to note here is that this whole idea of America, our democracy for the people and by the people, is built on us all sharing our collective voice. We all have a hand in what America becomes. That is the bedrock of all of this. Yet, you have the same folks that are the first ones to pick up a flag, the first ones to point to other people and talk about how they're ruining America or they hate America, eroding the very basis of America being something that we all have a hand in and letting all of our voice be heard. How can the same people that are trying to silence the voice of real Americans be the same one with the market cornered on patriotism and what it means to be an American? And at the same time, why is it on the Democratic side you haven't drawn this connection and made these things punitive? There is no way that I will accept waving flags, there is no way I will accept Uncle Sam hats from the same people that are trying to silence the voice of actual Americans on and around Election Day. Now, I know that there are those among us who feel particularly despondent and particularly deflated by everything that happened this particular week. I can't say that I'm different. I can't say that I'm too far away from that myself. The thing that I try to keep in mind is that the potential ramifications of Donald Trump and his MAGA movement being able to run roughshod through the American public and reshaping American society, I don't become immune to that by disconnecting myself. You need to do what you need to do in order to take care of yourself personally. It's just that this battle is still happening in the background. And as many of us that feel despondent or depressed or decide that all is lost and hopeless just means we have all the less ability in order to mitigate what may come. And keep in mind, what may come is going to come for everybody, whether or not you're on the front line or whether or not you decided to disconnect. It's just if you decide to disconnect, what may come becomes all the more exaggerated. Their will for the rest of us becomes much more easily accessible as so many of us become deflated and disconnected and feel hopeless. So while at this particular point in time, I absolutely feel like you need to take care of yourself and you feel like you need to do whatever it is that you need to do in order to push through. We all are trying to encircle and throw hands of love around one another. I certainly am extending that to you, and we do it in the chats and we do it in our lives. But we'll be back. And when we do come back, we're going to need all of us.